The first song I'm going to deconstruct is Layers. Layers is a soft and slow starting song that progressively turns more and more into a hard trap song produced by Tommy Profit and written by him, Saint X, and NF. Layers is one of the most trap-like songs of the album, about which NF said the following during an Instagram live. I love that one, talking about layers. I rewrote the beginning of that song like 10 times. I just didn't know how I wanted it to go. That just happens to me sometimes. I'll write something and then rewrite it like 10 times. So clearly the switch from slow, sad beginning to the trap-like verse is very important. But how do you achieve something like that? Well, I'm no Tommy Profit, but I do have a bunch of tips for you. So get a notebook and let's get started. The first thing you want to do is add a minor scale to your piano roll and a BPM of around 150. Now there are 4 main steps to get the sound we're looking for, and those are sad piano chord progression, piano top melody, bell synth replacing the piano, and trap drums. These are the new techniques we'll apply in this deconstruction. Every technique used in this video will be also explained in the ebook included on the file in the description, so you don't have to come back and watch this video to refresh your memory. Anyway, with that said, here's how I did it. Step 1. Sad chord progression. For this part, I'll be using the soft piano preset on Labs, which is a free plugin. For this, we're going to use a simple yet always effective chord progression guaranteed to give you that emotional feeling. That is the 1-7-6-7 progression. Basically, this means putting your root notes in the 1st, 7th, then 6th, then 7th again notes of your scale. If you want to switch it up a bit, here's a tip for you. Try putting a 1 and 6 on your downbeats. This method also usually achieves that emotional feeling, while giving you some creative space. Now, if you know your minor scale, you already know that to make these 4 triad chords, all we need to do is skip 1 tonic note twice, like this and like this, building 1 minor chord and 3 major chords. Now, as always, simply highlight the thirds and bring them up 1 octave like this and press Alt-S to strum them, which makes it sound more realistic. Step 2. Piano top melody. Now for this part, I can't tell you exactly what to do because if I did, then our beats would end up sounding exactly the same. It's okay to copy chord progressions because they always repeat. Whether you hear it or not, they do. But melodies are supposed to be somewhat unique. However, I can give you a few tips. First, since we made our chords each 2 bars long, we have a bit of space to play with. Use this to create silences, since this makes melodies more emotional. For example, I recommend building your top melody on this first bar and letting it breathe on the next. Next tip is to keep it simple. You don't want to add 10 or 15 different notes to a sad melody. Normally, I would go with 4 to 6 chordal notes with a few non-chordal if necessary. What I mean by this is notes that are also part of our chords. Like this. This is the same note as this, and this is the same note as this. And lastly, add extra notes if necessary at the end of bar 2 and 4, since those are the ones that will have a feeling of closure to them. So if you want more notes, this would be my recommended place to add them. And done! Now we have a top melody. Step 3. Bell synth replacing the piano. For this part, I'll be using one of my own one-shots. It'll be included in the clouds file in the description. This part is a bit tricky because we want this bell synth to play the same notes from our piano progression, but we also want it to work with hard trap drums. And right now as it is, it's not sounding very hard at all. So what we need is to rearrange this in a way that makes it work better with the trap drums. So first, we need simple trap drums. The first thing I had in mind was to take this down 1 octave and to fill a bit of this empty space. For that, we don't need anything crazy. We can simply cut some of these notes that are already here. Like this, for example, and like this. Now, this is already sounding much better. And I think I'll leave it there. There's our bell progression. And done. Now we have the beat. But this wouldn't be much of a mixtape deconstruction if we didn't have any vocals. Luckily, I know a guy.
Yeah, don't talk down to me, that's not gonna work now. Packed all my clothes and I moved out. I don't even wanna go to your house. Every time I sit on that couch, I feel like you lecture me. Eventually, I bet that we could've made this work and probably would've figured things out.